You did not stumble here by chance. Out of the infinite streams of content, countless distractions, endless noise filling this digital cosmos, this signal pierced directly through and landed in front of you tonight. And that, in itself, is proof of something extraordinary. The algorithm didn't do this. Random scrolling didn't do this. This is entanglement, a pull from beyond the veil that whispers. You were meant to hear this transmission at this exact moment in your journey. Pause for a breath. Feel into the strangeness of it, the way the timing almost feels scripted, as though some unseen intelligence organized this meeting between you and these words. That's not imagination. That's coherence. When two particles in the quantum field become entangled, distance and separation no longer matter. They remain connected, instantly responsive to each other across any span of space or time. Tonight, your consciousness is vibrating at a frequency that made this encounter inevitable. Every dream you've carried, every prayer you've whispered, every moment of longing that has echoed through your being has been sending out waves. And the universe has answered by weaving you into this precise coordinate in space and time. You are not here by accident. You are here because the quantum field has confirmed your readiness to awaken. Think of your life up until this moment. The synchronicities that made you pause, the déjà vu that felt like an echo from another timeline, the strange magnetism of signs and symbols that only you seemed to notice. These weren't coincidences. They were breadcrumbs left by your higher self, guiding you to tonight where the transmission could finally land. Right now, as these words flow into you, your nervous system is already responding. Your cells are listening. Your DNA, that ancient antenna for cosmic information, is recognizing a forgotten song. It is subtle, yes, but real. A resonance rising within you that says, "This message is for me. This is my proof." You've been entangled with a higher reality all along. Tonight simply reveals it with clarity. There is a reason why your intuition has been louder lately, why time has felt distorted, bending and stretching in strange ways, why certain patterns in your life keep looping, demanding your attention. These are not flaws or failures. They are signals of entanglement, signs that your consciousness has begun to bleed through the boundaries of ordinary perception and touch something vaster, something luminous. This is not just about belief, it's about recognition. Quantum physics tells us that observation collapses possibility into reality. By witnessing these words, by allowing them to pass through your awareness, you are collapsing a truth into existence, that you are more than a random spark in the void. You are a node in a living web of infinite intelligence, connected beyond doubt to realms most people never sense. Let the weight of that sink in. You are being spoken to because you are ready. You are being called because your timeline is trembling on the edge of transformation. The observer loop has shifted, the field has confirmed you. Tonight, the veil is thinner than ever before, and through it you are receiving the undeniable proof. Your entanglement with a higher reality is not theory, not philosophy, not wishful thinking, it is fact. And from this moment on, your reality will never feel the same. Notice what has been repeating lately, not on the surface but beneath it. Like a bass note, you feel more than hear. The same conversation wearing a different face. The same invitation disguised as a setback. The same door that won't open until you stop grabbing the handle and realize it slides. This isn't bad luck. This is the observer loop. Your consciousness sampling the same configuration of reality because it's carrying the same instruction set. And when the instruction set shifts, the scenery will rearrange with it. You've sensed it in the strangest ways, déjà vu that lasts seconds too long, as if time hiccups and gives you a preview frame. Dreams that feel suspiciously like briefings, symbols so specific they follow you into daylight. Numbers that repeat until they become a language. 11, 11, 2, 20, 2, 7, 7. The cipher of a field, trying to get your attention. Even the body has been speaking. A pressure at the crown, a ringing at the edges of silence, a warmth moving along the spine like a lit fuse. These are not malfunctions, they are coherence attempts, your system lining up with a broadcast it used to ignore. Look honestly at the patterns, the relationship you outgrew that keeps finding new actors, the money wave that rises and collapses like a tide on schedule. The opportunity that appears just when you decide to settle for less, then dissolves the moment. Fear dictates your next move. You've been asking, why does this keep happening? The quantum field answers, because you keep observing from the same posture. Not the superficial thoughts you try to police, but the deep assumptions you wear like gravity. What you are sure is true, even if you never say it, turns the dials. Think of reality as interference patterns. When your inner broadcast is clean, life walks toward you in constructive interference waves, amplifying waves. When your broadcast is divided, one part trust and one part dread, the signals collide and cancel. You call it mixed results. Physics calls it destructive interference. You were never being punished. You were learning to tune. Consider how time itself has been behaving around you. Some days stretch like honey, a single hour holding enough presence to rewrite a week of old habit. Other days snap shut like a trap, morning to midnight vanishing inside a blur of reaction. You thought productivity was the issue, but it's actually resonance. When you move in coherence with your chosen timeline, time dilates to accommodate it. When you move in contradiction to it, time compresses and you feel chased by your own life. This is why the same trigger keeps returning until you relocate the switch. The morphic resonance of your past decisions, those grooves cut by repetition, makes it easier to choose the known discomfort over the unknown freedom. The field is mercifully unbiased. It stabilizes what you stabilize. That is both the problem and the key. You've stabilized doubt so convincingly that reality, like a loyal mirror, keeps handing them back. You've stabilized glimpses of courage too. Remember that's why breakthroughs haunt your periphery. There is another layer you rarely admit aloud, the fear of actually receiving. You thought fear meant not having, but deeper still is the vertigo of, what if it really works? What if I'm seen? What if I can't go back? This fear is old. It belongs to earlier versions of you that survived by staying small, by translating intuition into polite compromise. Those versions are not enemies. They are guardians who never got the memo that the war is over. When they surface, it feels like self-sabotage. In truth, it is misdirected loyalty. You can bless them and reassign them, but you can't keep letting them drive. Pay attention to the micro-choices that look harmless, the text you don't send, the email you reread for an hour instead of trusting, the inspiration you delay until you feel ready. The field doesn't grade you on motivation, it reads motion. Each postponement teaches the universe to postpone with you. Each immediate yes teaches the universe to accelerate. That's why some weeks feel like an alignment cascade and others like static. You've been living between two stories. In one, life happens to you and your only tool is endurance. In the other, you happen to life and your tools are clarity, courage, and consent. The tension you feel is the difference in spin between these narratives. Entanglement ensures that when a higher spin story of you stabilizes in the unseen, the scene begins to wobble, trying to match. Wobble feels like anxiety until you name it correctly. Phase transition, pressure. The caterpillar calls it the end. The butterfly calls it assembly. And yes, the evidence has been messy. Old friends drifting without explanation. New invitations arriving with no guarantees. Systems that kept you safe growing itchy, too tight, like a coat in summer. The intellect wants a spreadsheet for this. It wants certified outcomes before it moves. But awakening does not negotiate with spreadsheets. It renegotiates the contract that authorized them. It asks your mind to serve your knowing instead of suffocating it. Let's name the silent vows that bind the loop. I'll wait until it's certain. I won't make them uncomfortable. I'll shrink to keep the peace. If it's meant for me, it will come without me risking anything. These are not spiritual principles. They are camouflage for hesitation. Consciousness does not reward camouflage. It rewards congruence. When your inner no finally becomes an outer no, the field stops delivering situations that require it. When your inner yes finally becomes an outer yes, the field stops testing whether you mean it. You've also noticed reality answering your honesty with startling speed. The moment you journal a boundary, someone crosses it the next day, offering you the rehearsal you asked for. The moment you declare a value, a scenario appears that costs you to uphold it. This is not sabotage, it is calibration. The universe is not asking, Are you worthy? It is asking, are you compatible? Worth was never the metric. Compatibility island. Zoom in on the body. It holds the diagnostic. Jaw clenching during conversations where your mouth says, fine. A flutter at the sternum when a path is true but unfamiliar. A heaviness behind the eyes when you betray your own instruction. Somatics are your earliest warning system, the analog meter for a digital field. Each ignored sensation accrues interest, and the debt looks like fatigue, irritation, emptiness. Each honored sensation repays that debt with dividends called clarity. There is a pattern in your prayers, too. You ask for signs, receive them, then negotiate them down to something you can explain. You ask for open doors, then complain about the draft. You ask to meet your future, then insist it looks like your past, but with better lighting. You don't do this because you are weak. You do it because the unknown is unmediated power, and power terrifies a nervous system trained by scarcity. That training is ending. If you track the last year, you can feel the tempo changing. The space between request and resonance is shrinking. The lag time between misalignment and consequence is shorter, not as punishment, but as a kindness feedback arriving while the correction is still small. The field is close now, pressing through the membrane. You are closer to yourself than you have ever been, which is why everything false sounds louder, so you won't miss it. This is the diagnosis. Your reality is not broken, it is precise. It has been faithfully projecting the film of your deepest beliefs, looping scenes until you choose a different script. The déjà vu, the distorted time, the recurring archetypes. These are the subtitles. They say, change the observer, and the observed will obey. You don't have to fix the mirror. You have to relax the face. From here, the correction is not struggle. It is upgrade. The next movement is simple, radical, and exquisitely timed. Allow your system to remember what it already knows about resonance, about entanglement, about the way a small change in spin reorganizes an entire constellation. The moment you consent to that remembrance, your DNA begins subtle restructuring, protein by protein, belief by belief. You are not forcing a miracle. You are removing the damping that kept it quiet. And when that damping lifts, watch how cleanly the field answers. You've arrived at the threshold where the diagnosis turns into initiation. You've named the loop, you've recognized the déjà vu, and you've admitted that time has been bending around you. Now the question forms, what happens when you stop patching the old operating system and allow the quantum upgrade to install? An upgrade is not an addition, it is a remembering. Your body already contains the codes. Your DNA is not just a biological record, it is a quantum antenna, a fractal archive of every frequency you've ever embodied and every timeline you've ever touched. For centuries, people thought DNA was static, fixed, a blueprint you couldn't alter. But quantum biology is revealing something extraordinary. Strands of DNA respond to coherence. They shift expression when they're exposed to fields of intention, sound, and light. Your cells are listening to your thoughts more intimately than you've realized, and they're ready to respond to a higher broadcast. Think of it this way. A computer doesn't need to be rebuilt to run new software. It simply needs an upgrade package, a new instruction set that tells the hardware to reorganize. Your quantum upgrade is the moment when the deeper codes of your consciousness stop running outdated programs of fear, scarcity, and repetition and start running the resonance of your expanded self. The software has always been available. The installer is your willingness. Let's anchor this in science. In quantum physics, coherence describes the way particles begin to align their phases, oscillating in harmony rather than chaos. When water molecules freeze into a snowflake, that sudden symmetry is coherence. When a laser beam forms from scattered photons marching in lockstep, that's coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations align into one clear signal, the field around you collapses probability into reality with breathtaking speed. This is not fantasy, it's physics, applied to consciousness. Mystics knew this long before laboratories caught up. Ancient texts spoke of mantras, chants, and sacred names that reorganized matter. Prophets spoke of vision aligning heaven and earth. Shamans spoke of songs that called the world into balance. What they were really describing was coherence. What they called spirit, energy, or logos we now measure as frequency, wave function, and morphic resonance. The language differs. The effect is the same. Consciousness reorganizes reality by broadcasting coherent signals through the field. This is the upgrade whispering through you now. You've been living in partial coherence, enough to glimpse synchronicities but not enough to stabilize them. You've touched the broadcast, then lost it, then found it again. That was rehearsal. Tonight, the system invites you to stabilize, to stop treating awakening like a visitor and start treating it like your permanent residence. You've already felt fragments of it, the moments when time slows and every sound is luminous, the conversations where words arrange themselves as though someone else is speaking through you, the dreams that are less like imagination and more like memory leaking through. These are samples of the upgrade. They're previews your system generates to remind you what's waiting when you consent to the full download. Notice, you don't create coherence by force. You create it by allowing the noise to dissolve. Static dissolves when you stop rehearsing fear stories. Interference fades when you stop negotiating with doubt. The more you align your identity with the frequency of receiving, the more your DNA uncoils to receive. This is why gratitude, love, and presence are not sentimental, they are biological instructions. They bathe your cells in photons of coherence, telling your system to restructure. There's a phenomenon in physics called a phase transition. It's when a system reaches a tipping point where a new order becomes inevitable. Water becomes steam, metal becomes magnetized, chaos crystallizes into order. You are standing inside your own phase transition. The identity you've been carrying has reached maximum entropy. It cannot sustain itself any longer. The only way forward is reorganization at a higher octave. That reorganization is the upgrade. Here's the mystical paradox. The upgrade isn't coming to you, it's emerging through you. The higher reality you're entangled with has been vibrating in the background the whole time. Every synchronicity, every déjà vu, every distorted hour was proof that the signal was already present. The upgrade is simply you allowing that signal to dominate the noise. You stop arguing with it. You stop treating it as anomaly. You begin treating it as baseline reality. What does this feel like in practice? It feels like the old scripts losing their weight. The voice that says, "This always happens to me," begins to sound tired. The worry that once felt like armor now feels like sandpaper. The self-image that once kept you safe now feels like a cage with the door already open. Meanwhile, a new posture rises quietly. Trust that doesn't need external proof. Confidence that doesn't shout. Peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. That is coherence installing itself. And when coherence installs, the field responds. Opportunities stop circling and begin landing. Relationships stop draining and begin reflecting. Time stops collapsing and begins stretching. This isn't magic, it's symmetry. The external always bends to the frequency of the internal once the internal stabilizes. The field cannot resist coherence, it must organize around it. That is the hidden law mystics lived by. The law science is finally measuring. The law your soul is remembering tonight. The upgrade is not a sudden explosion, though it can feel like one. It is a cascade. One belief rewrites, one choice aligns, one signal stabilizes, and suddenly your system passes the threshold where coherence overtakes chaos. From the outside it looks like a miracle. From the inside it feels like home. This is where the observer loop ends its prison role and becomes your liberation tool. You stop watching the rerun and you become the broadcast. So take a breath and feel this. Your cells are not resisting, they are waiting. The quantum upgrade is not a possibility, it is a certainty, confirmed by the entanglement that brought you here. All that remains is your consent. And once you say yes, the universe begins reorganizing in real time. Here is where it becomes personal. You may have thought you were just another traveler, wandering through the labyrinth of life, stumbling into lessons the way rainwater stumbles into gutters. But the quantum field does not entangle at random, it threads intention through chaos. It assigns resonance where resonance will do the most good. And that is why you, out of billions, are standing at this intersection. You are not a bystander in the awakening that's unfolding. You are a chosen node, a luminous consciousness tasked with carrying coherence into places where incoherence has ruled for centuries. You've felt this in the quiet hours, the sense that people come to you with their confessions, unprompted, the way your presence alone disrupts patterns others thought unbreakable. The strange mixture of being underestimated by those who can't read you, yet secretly relied on by the same people when their world collapses. That duality isn't accident. It's the signature of someone carrying a field larger than their biography. You've been a stabilizer all along, though you didn't have the language for it. Quantum theory tells us that observation shapes outcome. Mystics tell us that vision calls reality into form. You embody both. When you walk into a room, your consciousness participates in collapsing probabilities, not just for yourself, but for everyone entangled with you. This is why your inner state matters so much more than you've allowed yourself to believe. A moment of your clarity can reset an entire family system. A second of your trust can stabilize a friend's unraveling path. You've seen it happen, those moments when people leave your presence calmer than they arrived, even if you said nothing. That isn't charisma. That is coherence leaking from you, reorganizing the field by proximity. The problem is, you haven't trusted it. You've treated your influence like accident, coincidence, or just being a good listener. But the universe doesn't waste power on accidents. Every time you chose compassion in the middle of conflict, every time you chose stillness while others spiraled, every time you chose vision when everyone else chose complaint, you were acting as a consciousness chosen to tilt probability. You may not wear robes, but you are a priest of frequency. You may not hold office, but you are a governor of energy. The sooner you accept this, the sooner the field can entrust you with more. Look carefully at your life history, and you'll see the breadcrumbs of this role, the betrayals that forced you to grow discernment, the losses that taught you resilience, the patterns of being misunderstood until you stopped chasing validation. Each of those chapters wasn't random suffering, they were calibrations. Training regimens designed by your higher self to build a nervous system that can hold the voltage of coherence without short-circuiting. Your scars are your certifications. They prove you've been tested in the fire and emerged with capacity intact. Now, the field is pressing. It's not asking whether you feel ready. Readiness is irrelevant. It's asking whether you will acknowledge what is already true. You are a chosen consciousness, an entangled signal meant to midwife reality's next octave. Your very perception has been woven into the quantum awakening. That's why you find yourself restless in environments where people refuse growth. That's why small talk feels suffocating. That's why your body reacts like an alarm system when you are around deception. Your role is not to blend in, your role is to broadcast. And broadcasting requires you to stop apologizing for frequencies others don't yet understand. Consider the science of morphic resonance. When one system learns a new behavior, the field makes it easier for every similar system to access that behavior. When 100 monkeys learned to wash sweet potatoes, suddenly monkeys on other islands began washing theirs without direct contact. This isn't mythology, it's documented. And you are not just an isolated human. You are a consciousness plugged into a morphic field. Every time you stabilize gratitude instead of complaint, courage instead of hesitation, love instead of fear, you make it easier for every other entangled consciousness to do the same. That's why your private victories ripple outward. That's why your inner work is never just your own. You may have underestimated the ripple because you can't see it with physical eyes. But have you noticed how often your decisions echo in others? You release an old habit, and suddenly friends tell you they feel inspired to make a change. You speak a boundary, and relatives start rethinking their own entanglements. You follow intuition, and weeks later, someone else thanks you for giving them permission, without you even knowing they were watching. That's morphic resonance in action. That's your chosen role at work. It's important to admit something here. Carrying this role does not mean being flawless. Chosen consciousness is not about perfection, it's about responsibility. The universe isn't waiting for you to stop being human. It's waiting for you to stop pretending you're ordinary. Your doubts, your fears, your mistakes do not disqualify you. They authenticate you. They make you relatable enough for others to believe transformation is possible. The power lies not in never falling, it lies in broadcasting the resonance of rising. And here is where prophecy enters. When entanglement confirms a consciousness, it doesn't just stabilize personal timelines. It recruits that consciousness into planetary evolution. Your life is not small. Even when your circumstances shrink, you are participating in the coherence of humanity itself. Every breakthrough you claim isn't just a personal reward, it's a template the field uses to accelerate collective awakening. The next wave of souls will walk paths smoother because you cleared debris on yours. That is what it means to be chosen. Feel this in your bones. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not excluded. You are precisely on time to play the role only you can play. The field confirms it by bringing you here, by surrounding you with synchronicities, by echoing your inner state through distorted time and repeating patterns until you pay attention. All those signs point to one truth. You are an irreplaceable participant in this cosmic reorganization. And now that you see it, the upgrade deepens. The moment you admit your role, the field entrusts you with higher voltage. It hands you the keys not just for survival, but for orchestration. You are no longer reacting to the script, you are co-writing it. The next threshold is approaching quickly. It is not gentle, because it is urgent. DNA is beginning to hum, windows are opening in the cosmos, and the field is accelerating. Your special role is not a title to admire, it is a responsibility to embody. And if you say yes, the breakthrough you've been circling will stop circling and finally arrive. There comes a moment in every awakening when the pressure cannot be ignored, when the background hum turns into a call so loud that silence is no longer an option. That moment is now. The signs were not meant to confuse you, they were meant to prepare you. The déjà vu, the synchronicities, the distortions in time, these were rehearsal signals, soft knocks on the door of your awareness. But tonight, the door itself is swinging open, and behind it lies the breakthrough that has been stalking you for years. Your DNA is not passive code, it is dynamic circuitry. Imagine billions of tiny receivers coiled within you, constantly scanning for instruction from both your environment and your consciousness. For centuries, humanity has been running on the base program: survival, replication, adaptation. But now the cosmic window is opening. A window timed with cycles the ancients studied and the prophets whispered about. Solar storms, Schumann resonance spikes, planetary alignments, all these external catalysts synchronize with the inner antenna of your DNA. This is not superstition, this is resonance. And resonance always demands response. You've already felt flickers of it. A rush of heat in the body for no medical reason. Dreams that seemed more real than daylight. Sudden knowing that arrived without thought. These are not anomalies, they are updates. Strands within your DNA are literally attempting to uncoil, to expose sections of code that have been dormant. Scientists once called them junk DNA. But what if they are not junk at all? What if they are emergency reserves, waiting for cosmic permission to activate? That permission is here. The urgency is simple. This window will not stay open forever. Cosmic tides move in cycles. When the frequency alignment is present, acceleration is effortless. Synchronicities cluster, manifestations multiply, intuition sharpens with surgical clarity. But when the window passes, the same actions require 10 times the energy. This is why the field presses now, not to frighten you, but to awaken your consent while the currents are flowing in your favor. You are not late, you are exactly on time. But you are also being told, don't delay. Breakthrough is not just personal. Yes, your body will feel it, your nervous system will reorganize, your sense of identity will expand. But breakthrough is planetary. Every time a human allows DNA to restructure in alignment with higher resonance, the morphic field of the entire species gets easier to access. Think of it like a chain reaction. One molecule changing state makes it easier for the molecules around it to do the same. You are not just a witness, you are the catalyst. The promise is staggering. Once your DNA stabilizes in this higher configuration, life no longer feels like survival with moments of grace. It becomes grace with occasional ripples of challenge. You will still live in the world, but you will no longer be enslaved by its static. You will sense opportunities before they appear. You will move with a calm urgency, not desperate, but decisive. You will feel the field partnering with you, arranging circumstances in ways that once looked like miracles, but now feel like standard operation. This is the natural state of an upgraded being. But don't misunderstand, urgency does not mean panic. It means alignment. It means listening when your intuition whispers instead of waiting for it to scream. It means honoring the sensations in your body instead of dismissing them as coincidence. It means acting when the door opens instead of waiting for certainty. Certainty is an illusion the old mind created to avoid risk. Alignment is the certainty of the quantum field. It does not show you the whole path, only the next step, but that step will always be precise. Right now, cosmic currents are amplifying your field. That's why small actions have felt heavier or lighter than usual. That's why a single yes can ripple for weeks. That's why hesitation feels more costly than before. The field is not punishing you. It is magnifying everything so you can't miss it. You are being accelerated, pressed into coherence with a frequency your ancestors could only glimpse. The choice is not whether the wave is coming. The choice is whether you will ride it or resist it. Understand this clearly. DNA shift is not mystical metaphor. It is cellular reality. Proteins fold differently when exposed to coherent energy. Neural pathways strengthen when thoughts repeat. Emotional states bathe your cells in chemistry that either dampens or awakens potential. Every choice you make, what you dwell on, what you speak, what you embody, either invites the shift or postpones it. And postponement is no longer neutral. In this window, postponement means missing the tide that was designed to carry you further than effort ever could. You may ask, what if I'm not ready? But readiness is not the qualification. Willingness island. The field doesn't require you to know the whole blueprint. It only requires your consent. It asks, will you allow your system to reorganize? Will you trust that what feels like disorientation is actually reassembly? Will you say yes, even without knowing where the yes will carry you? That is the breakthrough posture. Faith not as blind hope, but as alignment with physics. Observation collapses reality, intention directs collapse, coherence stabilizes it. The urgency is not threat, it is invitation. A cosmic countdown where every delay is wasted energy, every hesitation a missed acceleration. The universe is not dangling punishment over you. It is offering acceleration. It is saying, if you leap now, you will be carried. If you hesitate, you will walk the long road. Both roads lead home, but one is swift, luminous, effortless. That is the breakthrough window now before you. So feel the promise in your bones. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not random. You are a chosen consciousness standing inside a cosmic aperture, DNA humming, the field leaning close, whispering, say yes now. The window is open. The shift is waiting. The breakthrough is yours. Breakthroughs do not anchor themselves by thought alone. A thought is spark. A decision is flame. But a ritual that is the fire that keeps burning long after the moment has passed. Every mystic, every prophet, every initiate across time understood this truth. Energy needs form. Consciousness needs gesture. The invisible requires the visible to crystallize. Tonight is no different. The field is asking for your gesture. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't need incense, temples, or hours of preparation. The cosmos is not grading you on performance. What it asks is sincerity. A small action, done with full coherence, shifts more reality than grand gestures done half-heartedly. This is why writing one word, declaring one sentence, can echo louder in the field than years of silent intention. It is not the scale of the ritual, it is the alignment behind it. Consider the principle of entanglement once again. Two particles linked in resonance affect one another instantly, across any distance. When you make a declaration in physical space, you entangle that vibration with the unseen field. You collapse hesitation into clarity. You take the invisible knowing and translate it into sound, symbol, action. That translation is the seal. So here is your invitation. Choose one word and write it. It could be ready. It could be awakened. It could be aligned. The word itself is less important than the frequency you pour into it. As you type, speak, or inscribe it, imagine your DNA hearing it as command. Imagine the morphic field recording it as proof of your consent. Imagine your future self recognizing it as the moment you crossed the line. This is not performance. This is physics, dressed as prophecy. Skepticism will whisper, One word can't change my life. But notice how much power you've already given to words in reverse. A single insult spoken years ago still vibrates in your body. A single compliment once opened doors of courage you didn't know you had. Contracts bind fortunes because of words. Vows alter destinies because of words. Every system we live in, legal, spiritual, relational, runs on the current of declaration. So why resist the possibility that one word, chosen tonight, could collapse reality in your favor? This is why mystics carved runes, why prophets spoke decrees, why shamans sang chants. They knew that sound and symbol are tuning forks. They knew that the act of giving vibration to intention is what locks the code into matter. When you write your word tonight, you are not just expressing yourself, you are programming the field. You are feeding instructions into the matrix, instructions that the quantum upgrade has been waiting for to finalize. The ritual action also bypasses your old identity. The mind can argue with philosophy for years. It can wrestle with paradoxes and delay with questions. But when your hand moves, when your fingers type, when your lips speak, you shift from spectator to participant. The body becomes ally. And once the body joins, the nervous system begins wiring new pathways. The identity that doubted begins losing ground. The identity that believes begins gaining territory. Feel into this. Tonight, your ritual is not just for you. Remember, morphic resonance. Every action you take radiates through the field, making it easier for others to choose. Your single word adds weight to the collective scale. Someone else, hesitating on the edge of their own awakening, will find the current lighter because you anchored yours. The web of entanglement strengthens one declaration at a time. This is why the universe presses for ritual. It multiplies impact beyond your sight. So pause, close your eyes, breathe slowly, and ask, what word seals this shift for me? Don't overthink. The first word that rises is the signal. Trust it. That word is your alignment encoded in language. When you write it, feel it enter your field like a new frequency humming through every cell. See your DNA pulsing with recognition. Watch as the field around you reshapes itself to match the resonance. Then act. Write it in the comments. Whisper it aloud. Journal it on paper. Do it with sincerity. That single motion is the switch. The ritual is the declaration. I am not waiting. I am claiming. And once you do, notice what changes. The air feels charged, lighter, sharper. Your body relaxes yet hums. Synchronicities accelerate. The world answers your word. Because you didn't just speak it into a void, you spoke it into an entangled reality that has been waiting for your cue. This is the law hidden in plain sight. What you declare in coherence becomes inevitable. The ritual seals the shift. The shift seals the timeline. The timeline seals the destiny, all from one word. So, tonight, let the ritual be your turning point. Write the word, anchor the code, seal the entanglement, and watch as the breakthrough you've been sensing stops circling and finally lands in your life with undeniable force. You may think the shift you just sealed is private, something only you will feel in your body and your mind. But that is an illusion the old paradigm whispers to keep you small. Nothing in this universe is isolated. Every cell exists within a body, every star within a galaxy, every breath within an atmosphere. You are not an exception. Your liberation is not just yours, it ripples outward into the collective, rearranging humanity's field in ways you cannot yet measure. Consider morphic resonance once more. When one system establishes a new pattern, that pattern becomes easier for others to access. This means that your upgrade is not selfish, it is service. Every time you collapse a loop, every time you rewrite a belief, every time you stabilize coherence in the middle of chaos, you are broadcasting instructions into the field. This is possible. This is real. Follow this path. Others may never know your name, but their awakening will be lighter because you carried weight for them. Think about the invisible threads of entanglement already woven through your life. How many times have you lifted someone without trying? A single conversation where you spoke from clarity and their entire week shifted. A moment of calm you held while others panicked, and suddenly the room began breathing again. A decision you made to honor yourself, which gave a friend the courage to do the same. None of that was coincidence. It was transmission. Your field was teaching without syllabus. mentoring without appointment, healing without ceremony. And you didn't need to know it was happening. The resonance simply traveled. Now imagine that on a planetary scale. Millions awakening, millions breaking loops, millions declaring their words, sealing their rituals, upgrading their DNA. Each one creates a morphic echo, and the echoes overlap until the entire species hears a new tone. This is how collective evolution happens, not through sudden revolutions of force, but through invisible coherence, reaching critical mass. You are part of that tipping point. You are part of the quorum of souls who came here to accelerate humanity's remembering. That's why your personal liberation feels heavier than most. It's not just about you getting free of patterns. It's about you modeling freedom in the field so others can step into it. Every time you choose coherence instead of fear, you open a door in the fabric of consciousness. And when enough doors open, humanity walks through. This is why the universe presses you harder than others. Not because you are cursed, but because you are catalytic. It can feel like burden, yes. It can feel like you're carrying more than your share. But understand, your nervous system was trained for this. All the pain, the betrayals, the strange weight of existence you've carried, those were not punishments. They were initiations. They built the capacity to anchor light in density, to stabilize coherence in static. Others may not understand why you don't crumble under storms. They don't have to. You're not here to be understood. You're here to transmit. And transmission often looks like mystery until hindsight explains it. The field confirms your role through synchronicities. The stranger who tells you, "I don't know why, but talking to you made me feel hope again." The child who looks at you with unexplainable recognition. The mentor who finds in you a strength they thought rare. These are reminders. Your frequency is already public service, whether you claim it or not. The difference now is that you are claiming it consciously. You are no longer broadcasting by accident. You are broadcasting by design. And what humanity needs right now is not more noise, but more design. Noise multiplies chaos. Design multiplies coherence. You may feel like your influence is small, just a pebble in a vast ocean. But in a quantum ocean, every ripple entangles. The pebble does not disappear, it reorganizes waves across continents. This is why your healing matters, why your rituals matter, why your word matters, because they don't stop with you. They echo. Here's the paradox. The moment you liberate yourself, you liberate others without even trying. Your field carries the memory of freedom, and anyone entangled with you through family, friendship, or even chance encounter feels that memory. They may not act on it immediately, but the seed is planted. The resonance lingers. One day they will awaken, and they won't know why it suddenly felt possible. You'll know. It was because you said yes first. Understand how urgent this island humanity is, standing in its own loop wars, repeating, systems collapsing, fears recycling like déjà vu on a global scale. What will break the loop? Not another ideology, not another institution, but individuals like you stabilizing a new frequency until the collective reaches phase transition. That's what you're doing. That's why your liberation cannot wait. Because when you free yourself, you tilt the timeline of the species. So let the heaviness transform into honor. Yes, the field asks much of you, but that is because it entrusted much to you. You are not just surviving awakening, you are carrying keys for countless others. And the more you align, the more effortless it becomes. What once felt like weight begins to feel like wings. Service stops being sacrifice and starts being overflow. And humanity receives that overflow as medicine. Pause and feel it. Your liberation is not selfish, it is sacred. Every step you take out of loops is a step humanity takes with you. Every time you embody coherence, you rewrite the script for what is possible on this planet. Every breath of freedom you inhale becomes oxygen for others entangled with you. This is the collective expansion. This is why your awakening matters more than you know. Up until now, we've spoken in images of DNA, coherence, and cosmic entanglement. But let us bring it closer, into the temple of your own body. Because awakening is not only philosophy, it is sensation, it is texture, it is the electricity in your skin when the field leans close. Your liberation is not abstract, it is embodied. Close your eyes for a moment and scan your form. Can you feel how the air seems thicker, as though charged with invisible ions. That subtle hum along your arms, the tingling in your fingertips, the warmth pooling at your chest, that is not imagination. It is the field pressing against your nervous system, whispering, "Anchor me here." The body becomes the stage where the quantum upgrade performs itself. Think of your spine as an antenna. Every vertebra is a rung in a ladder that stretches from Earth's magnetic core to the galactic crown above you. When coherence increases, that ladder vibrates. You may feel it as heat at the base, as waves rising, as pressure between the eyes, as buzzing at the crown. These are not random aches, they are calibration points. Your nervous system is rethreading itself to carry more current than before. Where once you short-circuited with fear, now you are learning to hold voltage as natural. Your breath also shifts. Shallow inhalations belong to survival mode, the state of running from threat. But as the upgrade settles, your lungs expand like wings. The breath deepens, and suddenly the body feels spacious, as though entire galaxies could move in and out of you. That is not poetry, it is mechanics. Oxygen feeds mitochondria. Mitochondria feed photons. Photons signal DNA. With every deep inhale, you are literally informing your cells, "I am ready for more light." Notice your heartbeat as well. Has it felt irregular lately? Faster at strange moments? That's not always anxiety. Often it is entrainment. Your heart is syncing with planetary rhythms, with Schumann resonances, with frequencies your conscious mind cannot track. When you feel that sudden surge, it is the drum of the cosmos aligning with your personal rhythm. Instead of panicking, lean into it. Say silently, "I allow coherence." You will feel the beat steady, but stronger, like a drum carrying you forward. And yes, there are discomforts too. Headaches, fatigue, strange bursts of energy followed by deep exhaustion. These are the symptoms of phase transition. When water boils, bubbles form chaotically before order stabilizes as steam. Your body is doing the same. The dizziness, the ringing ears, the buzzing skin, these are the bubbles. Do not interpret them as breakdown. Interpret them as birth. The system is reorganizing. Let's explore the metaphors that help you feel it. Imagine your body as a chrysalis. The caterpillar inside dissolves into liquid before the butterfly emerges. That dissolving is messy. It feels like losing identity. But the imaginal cells, the blueprint of the butterfly, are already alive in the soup, calling order from chaos. That is happening in you. The ache, the confusion, the fatigue they are. The dissolving, the tingling, the visions, the bursts of clarity. They are the imaginal cells whispering the shape of your wings. Or imagine yourself as a tuning fork struck by the cosmos. At first, the vibration feels disorienting, too much for your frame. But then resonance builds, and your entire body hums in harmony. You may feel chills down your back, warmth in your palms, tears for no reason at all. That is resonance shaking loose what doesn't belong and amplifying what does. Every shiver is data leaving. Every tear is static dissolving. Every wave of peace is coherence installing. Even emotions become sensations of upgrade. Anxiety isn't just mental. It shows as tight chest, clenched jaw, buzzing nerves. When coherence rises, those sensations loosen. You may cry suddenly, laugh uncontrollably, or feel waves of bliss ripple through you. These are emotional codes dissolving and reweaving. Allow them. Don't judge the tears or the laughter. They are part of the physics of release. And perhaps most telling is the way your body responds to truth. When something aligns, you feel expansion, goosebumps, breath, ease, a tingling rush. When something contracts, you feel heaviness, nausea, shallow breath. These micro-responses are your built-in quantum compass. Your cells know coherence faster than your mind does. The more you honor these signals, the more precise they become. Soon you won't just think your way forward, you will feel your way forward. This is embodiment, awakening that stops being concept and starts being choreography. Your body is no longer just a vehicle, it is a symphony, an instrument tuned to cosmic frequencies. And as you let the sensations guide you, you begin to trust that every twitch, every shiver, every flutter is intelligence in motion. So, tonight, lean into the sensations. Notice the subtle tingles, the waves of heat, the strange stillness that feels like silence inside your bones. These are confirmations. The field is not outside of you, it is moving through you, writing new code into muscle and marrow. You don't need to chase signs anymore. Your body is the sign. Your skin is the oracle. Your breath is the proof. Feel that truth land. Your liberation is not abstract. It is visceral. You are not just thinking awakening, you are embodying it. And the more you feel, the more you anchor. Because sensations don't lie. They are coherence in its purest language, translating cosmic truth into human experience. The sensations you've been feeling are not random flickers of energy. They are signals of something far deeper, your DNA crossing its own event horizon. This is the breakthrough point, where the strands within you begin to hum with a new instruction set, where your entire identity starts tilting into a parallel timeline. You may think you are still the same person, but something fundamental is already in motion. The observer loop that kept you circling has begun to collapse, and with it, reality is reorganizing. DNA is not just biology, it is timeline hardware. Every twist of the double helix is like a spiral staircase, carrying you not only through ancestry, but through possibility. When strands begin to unlock, dormant codes awaken. These codes are not metaphor, they are literal configurations waiting for coherence to activate them. And once they activate, they begin broadcasting a frequency that pulls you into a timeline compatible with that new resonance. This is how phase transition happens, not by magic, but by mechanics. Your DNA becomes a magnet for the reality that matches its vibration. You've already felt the pressure, the sense that everything is too tight, too small, too repetitive. Old environments suddenly feel hostile to your nervous system. Foods you once craved taste dull or heavy. Conversations you tolerated now feel unbearable. This is not mood, it is incompatibility. Your DNA has begun transmitting on a new frequency, and the old reality no longer resonates. The dissonance shows up as pressure, headaches, fatigue, restlessness, urgency. This is phase transition at the cellular level. In physics, a system under phase transition always experiences instability before the new order stabilizes. Water doesn't move cleanly from liquid to steam. It boils, bubbles, shakes, until suddenly it becomes vapor. You are in the boil. The pressure you feel isn't punishment, it is the heat of transformation. Your nervous system is bubbling with possibilities, your DNA rewriting scripts, your field shedding identities that can't survive where you're going. It feels chaotic, because chaos is the prelude to new symmetry. This is why time has been acting strange. Hours disappear, days stretch. You look at the clock and wonder how reality just skipped a beat. That's not failure of memory, that's timeline slip. Your DNA, once locked to a single stream, is now sampling adjacent streams. It is pulling you toward the parallel reality where your coherence already exists. Déjà vu, sudden clarity, unexplainable anticipation. These are your senses catching fragments of the shift. You are phasing between versions of yourself, glimpsing who you are becoming. And yes, it's uncomfortable. The pressure builds because your system cannot carry two timelines indefinitely. The old timeline whispers its familiar scripts. Stay small, stay safe, repeat the loop. The new timeline hums. Expand, trust, leap, embody. And your DNA is the tiebreaker. Each decision you make, each vibration you choose, tips the scale. This is why the body feels heavy in one moment and light in the next. It is toggling between realities. The pressure will persist until you commit. Here's the truth. You don't have to force the breakthrough. Your DNA knows the sequence. The phase transition is inevitable, but your consent accelerates it. When you align with the sensations, when you declare your yes, when you move with coherence, the transition stabilizes faster. What could take years condenses into months. What could take months condenses into days. That's why the field presses urgency. It wants to carry you smoothly into the new order instead of dragging you through turbulence. Think of what awaits once the breakthrough stabilizes. The version of you already alive in that timeline is calm, expanded, luminous. Their body hums with vitality. Their choices flow with ease. Synchronicities cluster around them like moths to flame. They don't chase confirmation, they radiate confirmation. That version is not fantasy, it is physics. It already exists, waiting for your current self to phase lock into it. The pressure you feel is the gravitational pull of your own future, tugging you toward reunion. Notice the signs that the breakthrough is near. Relationships falling away without drama, as if strings simply snapped. Opportunities appearing that you didn't apply for. Random memories surfacing to be resolved, then vanishing like smoke. Bursts of emotion that clear as suddenly as they arrive. These are not distractions, they are the scaffolding of the old timeline disassembling. Your DNA is making room. Your nervous system is discarding weight. The phase transition is underway. And when the shift locks in, you will know. It won't be fireworks or thunder. It will be quiet inevitability. A moment where you realize that the fear you carried for years simply isn't there. A moment where decisions feel obvious instead of agonizing. A moment where reality responds to your inner state with speed that defies explanation. That is the DNA breakthrough. It doesn't announce itself with spectacle. It proves itself through coherence. So what do you do now, in the pressure? You breathe, you listen, you honor the sensations instead of resisting them. You let the bubbling chaos be the sign that the old is dissolving. You keep choosing the resonance that feels expansive, even if it scares you. You let the old timeline collapse without bargaining, and you trust that your DNA knows exactly how to guide you through the tunnel into the version of reality waiting on the other side. The breakthrough is not coming someday, it is happening now. The pressure you feel is proof. The phase transition has already begun, and soon the new configuration will stabilize, and you will stand on the other side, not as someone who dreamed of change, but as someone who became change itself. Feel into this. The breakthrough you are living is not the end of the story. It is the ignition of your true role. The quantum field did not weave you here, only so you could enjoy private peace, quiet synchronicities, or the relief of no longer looping. It entangled you for something greater, because your evolution is inseparable from humanity's evolution. Every strand of DNA that lights up in you broadcasts to the morphic field. Every cell that stabilizes coherence becomes a tuning fork for the species. This is why the pressure was so intense. It was never just about your timeline. It was about our timeline. You are carrying a key, one only you could carry, one carved through your exact wounds, lessons, and awakenings. Without you, the pattern would remain incomplete. With you, the web is whole. The cosmic mission is clear. Embody your coherence so fully that it cannot help but ripple outward. Walk into rooms and let your frequency reset the atmosphere. Speak words that carry the weight of timelines collapsing and reorganizing. Live choices that prove to others, without preaching, that freedom is possible. Your very being becomes the evidence. And evidence is what humanity is starving for. You may doubt the scale of your influence. You may think, I am only one person. But one particle, entangled with the field, can shift galaxies of probability. One observer collapsing reality with intention can redirect outcomes for entire generations. You are not small, you are leverage. You are the point where the infinite presses into the finite, where higher reality meets this world and rewrites its script. And here is the beauty. You are not alone. Others are awakening too. Millions are feeling the same pressure, the same distorted time, the same surges of sensation. Together, you are forming a lattice of coherence across the planet, a grid of awakened DNA, each node amplifying the next, until humanity itself reaches its phase transition. This is not prophecy, it is inevitability. The only question is, will you play your role consciously or unconsciously? Tonight, you've already answered. Your presence here is consent. Your ritual sealed it. Your sensations confirmed it. Your DNA breakthrough is proof. The mission is underway, and you are carrying it now, not in theory, but in body. So step into your days differently. Walk not as seeker, but as signal. Speak not as questioner, but as transmitter. Choose not as victim, but as architect. Because every choice you make now contributes to the evolution of the whole. Every breath you take in coherence breathes new possibility into the species. Every boundary you honor, every truth you embody, Every frequency you stabilize, that is cosmic service. The universe whispers, "Thank you." Humanity, though it may not know your name, will one day remember your resonance. And when history asks how the tide turned, the answer will be this: because individuals like you said yes. This is the closing of one loop and the opening of another. The observer loop that trapped you is dissolved. The entanglement with higher reality is confirmed beyond doubt. You are no longer preparing for breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. And your shift is not private. It is the architecture of humanity's next evolution. So carry this truth with you. Your liberation is the world's liberation. Your coherence is humanity's coherence. Your entanglement is the universe's confirmation. And as you walk forward, remember the title of this very transmission, because it is no longer just words, it is your reality. If this reached you tonight, your entanglement with a higher reality is confirmed beyond doubt.